Modi ora te whānau, what's going on? Welcome back to the 99Dreams podcast, or if this is your first time listening, welcome in. Thanks for joining us. I'm the host, Rawiri, and like I said, you've tuned into the 99Dreams podcast. But also, if you're a regular listener, thanks for coming back. We truly appreciate you here. I really appreciate you. So thanks for joining. Today, I've got a great guest. This is going to be one hell of a show. I have no idea what's going to happen. We might get cancelled. But fuck it, we're here for it. I'm going to throw it over to my boy, Dave. Welcome to the show, David. We're glad to have you here. Thanks for coming by, man.
Yeah, g'day. I'm the future co-host of the show.
He's petitioning for a role, everyone.
I will be here.
Before we get started, bro, do you just want to tell the people who you are, where you're from? Kauai, Norway.
Yeah, so I'm David. I am... Oh, God, where do I live now? I'm in Dunedin currently. But I work in Balclutha, but originally from Wellington. And then the thing I don't probably like to share too much is that I was born in Hamilton, which you don't usually go tell a whole lot of people, to be fair. But in my defence, I was only there like 3 years. But I've got more mana than all of them. And less STI, so it's fine.
Are you sure? Dunedin's a wild place.
So's Balclutha.
But I do notice there's one thing that you have kept with you since your time in Waikato, which was only 3 years, and that's your love for the mighty Waikato Chiefs. Is it still the Waikato Chiefs? Because they've got Taranaki in their crew now, and Bay of Plenty and all that.
Oh, it's the whole nation, really, isn't it? I met a guy like the other day who at a teacher only day, and he was a Chiefs fan. He was like, "You don't get many of those down there," and I was like, "Oh yeah, brother, you do." I'm right here at arms. That's my only... Oh, actually, hold on.
For those listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, he just left the camera. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it happen. But if you're listening to it, you're gonna have no clue what just happened.
You'll hear it. You'll hear it now, though.
I need to clip that so then I can drop the decibels.
I've got my flag and my Mulu belt.
Oh mate, I'm so glad you took that shit to Dunedin. That bell.
Oh fuck yeah!
Is that the same bell that got stolen?
No, so it's a different. Oh yeah, it's a fun story. I got back in 2019 summer, like when so in Dunedin, you go from flat to flat. I had quite bad pneumonia, so I was a bit defenceless, and all of a sudden I'd been in hospital, came back to the flat, but it wouldn't have been too long, and everything was stolen. So the PlayStation was gone, all my games were gone, but most importantly, my Chiefs Mulu bell was gone. The bastards.
There's a very niche crowd that robbed you, bro. It's not a large population of people that want one of those fucking things.
No, bloody bullshit. So I had to, as the true fan that I am, I had to go buy another one. To be fair, I don't really, because the Chiefs never play down here that much, to be fair, so I never really get to use it too much.
Yeah, I think in all my years down there, I think I've only been to 2 Chiefs games.
Yeah, they don't. I feel like they're not played very often down here. They always seem to end up in Fiji.
Oh yeah, they do love playing overseas.
Saying, I want them more than the Fijians do, but that's what can you do.
Pro tip: just move back to the North Island, and you can link up with the boys at the Chiefs games almost every other weekend.
I could do that.
I think I'm linking up with Baxter at a Chiefs game. I think we're going to the Hurricanes Chiefs up in Waikato 2023. I almost forgot what year it was.
I don't even know what year it is. But no, I'd be keen actually. I just want to let my hair down, let my Mulu ring. Just
You want to be appreciated in the stands.
I'm just sick of getting abused all the time. I'm just constantly just giving it, and I don't get anything in return. It's just constant abuse. It's like I'm from Hamilton or something.
I mean, you've got the bell. You might as well be
3 years, that's all it was.
long enough. It's long enough. So, what people might not know if they don't know you personally is that Dave's a teacher. So, do you want to just give us a rundown what it's like being a teacher at, what are you, high school?
High school level, yep.
Yeah. So, what's it like being a teacher? What's the day to day like?
Well, you got to think about it in their whole lifestyle. When you're at school, right? Well, even if you look at me right now, if you're on YouTube, is Google a video?
No, it's just podcast. It's just audio.
Fascinating. Anyway, as you can see, it's a whatever day it is, and I'm drinking. So
It's a Sunday.
It is a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
It
Today is Sunday.
Every day is Sunday. Father's Day is Sunday. But we drink a lot because we have to put up with frustrating children all day who think they're absolute top shit, and they're not. Nah, it is good though. Like, it is interesting going back at a younger age. So I'm only 23. So it's interesting going back to school when, especially at the year 13s, like they're all turning 18 this year. But I'm only 5 years older than a lot of them, which is a bit weird. So like you kind of talk to them as if you're like bros sometimes, rather than like, I don't know, like you do remember your cool teachers, but you also remember some of your like scary, stricter teachers. So like it's a bit weird in that sense, and it's kind of like weird in the sense that like I'm responsible for all these little teenagers. It's just a bit weird, especially like so I'm a PE teacher, so of course that's PE health. So at the moment we're covering sex education, which I'll be honest, I don't think I'm mature enough to be teaching.
I thought you were to say I don't have enough experience.
Well, my mother might think that. But yeah, so like it's I guess it's that sort of stuff. But like I'm in a very like collegial school. I've forgotten what even the bloody question was, to be fair. I just started going on that sort of rant. Life skill, your day to day life. I mean, you rock up, you check your emails, you teach. I'll tell you what, like you don't. It gets a lot easier. Like I'm only a first year teacher this year, and it does get a lot easier. Like I don't do a whole lot of planning now. Like it definitely like starts to roll off the tongue. Like I can do a fat yarn, to be fair, but like I used to be like not the greatest public speaker, and now like the kids complain that I talk too much at the start of the lesson. So like it is good fun though. Like you do have a lot of banter with them, and I guess with our kids down in Balclutha, if you know anything about Balclutha, like they're a bit cooked. Like
I've not heard great things about the place.
Oh, great establishment. It's got a countdown in a new world.
But don't like all the people there have like 16 toes and 12 fingers?
No. Actually 23 toes and 4 fingers.
Right. You'd know because you do swimming with them, right?
Exactly. I see some really intriguing things at the pool.
But what are some of the most valuable things that you've learned while teaching about yourself?
Shit. That's deep. What have I learned? One, you can't take yourself too seriously, because as soon as I think I've learned one thing you got taught in teachers college was that relationships are the key to everything. You need to like build real good relationships. If you got good relationships with your students, then you're going to obviously it's going to be easier to teach them because you get along with them better. Which, in a sense, like is very true. But then they talk about this big line of like you can't cross the professionalism line. So it's like being friendly but not their friend. And like I get that fully because then they do get quite attached. But I also think that the best teachers also. I'm not saying that I'm friends with a bunch of year nines. Like they're all 13. I'm 23. Like I got 10 years of them. I don't need them in my life. I'm not going to go hang out with them on a Saturday. But like, in the sense that, like, I think you can be their friend in a way. Like you see them more than their parents, essentially. Like you see them from, I guess 8:30 through to 3:30, essentially. So you see them 7 hours a day. I see each class 4 hours a week. You see them outside of classes. Like you do get to know them very well. So I think like I've had the old one call me dad. So like, yeah, like it is interesting, but like I think that you can't take yourself too seriously in life. That's honestly a big one because I think kids don't really respond. Some do because they've got like harder homes, but like you can't take yourself too seriously at school, or they won't respond too well to you in a way. I think that's a very big point. God, what else have I learned? I've learned so many different things this year.
That's good to hear, though.
I learned how to put a condom on again the other day.
Bro. Ladies and gentlemen, please do practice safe sex. It's a rough world out there, and if you're not practicing safe sex, then you could end up in a whole world of trouble.
We do talk about unprotected sex, so this is not going to become a health bloody education tool, but like...
Are you just trying to lecture my listeners?
Pretty much, like, don't have sex. That's pretty much... Or if you do, use a condom. Use contraception. Otherwise,
the biggest...
die in pregnancy.
Contraception and consent. It's your two things, man.
If anyone wants to go watch a video, there's a thing called the T video.
Do you want me to link it below?
You should, to be fair. It's very good actually about consent. There's like
I'll do it.
It's a bit the T video and like talks about how like would you give someone a cup of tea if they were unconscious? No. So of course the link there is if someone was unconscious, would you sleep with them? No, because they haven't consented. Whereas if someone said, yes, I'd like a cup of tea, and you go to give them a cup of tea, and then they're like, actually, I don't want a cup of tea anymore, that's fine. They've actually taken their consent away in terms of the tea, which, of course, links to sex. I feel like I'm just teaching my nines again, really.
Nah, man, this is valuable information. Not everyone knows this.
If they say no, it means no.
100%.
It's literally as simple as that.
And it's okay to withdraw your consent.
Oh, absolutely.
You could have been keen in the moment, but then as the pressure builds up, you're just like, I'm not that keen anymore.
Exactly. If they say no, and like you can take consent away at literally any time.
100%.
Oh,
but on a lighter note,
yeah, please.
if you hand someone with one arm a cup of tea and saucer, don't give them the saucer. How are they supposed to drink the tea? They've only got one arm. So they spend the whole time carrying their cup of tea. So please, ladies and gentlemen, if they've only got one arm, just give them the cup.
I also saw another video the other day, sorry, about
keep it going.
About this young girl who was like trying to break like a plank with her foot because she didn't have any arms. So she was trying to like break the plank with her foot. And then the guy was like encouraging her to break it, and she broke it. And then he held both hands up for high fives, and she couldn't high five back. Sorry, this is just taking a dark turn.
You're not supposed to laugh at these. You're not supposed to laugh at these. Look, it's okay. You know, what's that guy from American Idol? He tried to high five that blanket.
Not out.
Yeah, true. I should probably start asking some questions. Anyway, I did have a question that was a follow up to what you were talking about as a teacher. Like, how important is it to still remember that you are a role model to these kids? Like, how do you not cross that boundary between being too much of a bro and sort of too caring versus being too strict?
I'd say a big thing with that, once again, like as I was saying before, like I think it's very important to you need to have a good relationship with them. Like there's kids who have gone through things that even people our age who would have no idea what they've gone through in their life. And I guess as a health teacher, like I hear a lot of that because in sex ed everything's very confidential. In terms of like the stuff that goes on in class. So we don't talk about pretty much well the rule's meant to be they don't talk about anything like once they leave the room essentially. Of course they're young teenagers and they're going to. But I guess in terms of being a role model and I think especially as a young teacher, the big thing you hear is like I walk around school, and this doesn't mean to sound cocky, but like, you walk around school because I've got a good relationship with like a lot of the kids at school, and like they yell your name out. They don't even call me Mister anymore. It's just Matsas, which is absolutely in my opinion, I don't actually mind that. To be fair, I still think there's a respect line there. By them not using my first name, but I think it's important to be a role model to them in terms of how you avoid getting too close. It is hard, and you do have to set very important ground rules from the beginning. But you've really got to think about how you talk to these kids. So you're not going to talk to them in a sense of I don't think that an effective way. We talk about PB4L, so I think called positive behaviour for learning. So in terms of having like restorative talks with kids, so you're not going to yell at them when they do something wrong. And to be honest, I feel I'm not much of a yeller, to be fair, but it's hard not to when like a kid's constant and like that's the way that they're going to respond to you. But as soon as you yell at them, you're kind of breaking that rapport, like that relationship that you had with them, because that's what they're used to sort of getting at home. Like a lot of them, like quite hard family lives. So in all honesty, like I know it's important to like keep your boundaries and stuff, but that's why I also think it's so important to care for them and be an important role model to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, nah, totally.
Gone on a rant there, but it is hard to keep, I think, a balance between the two. Like you don't want to overstep any boundaries. And it's very important too because at the end of the day, it is our career and our profession and being all professional, etc. But I think a lot of these kids need a positive figure in their lives as well that is actually going to look out for them. And as you take one, I think the most important thing for me, honestly, is if I'm honest, I don't do anything on a Saturday day. Like I'm pretty free now. Like I don't play sport, which I'm sure we can touch on later in the podcast. But I don't play sport anymore, so I'm pretty like free during my days. So I always make sure. So when it was rugby season, I'd go and watch boys rugby. I'm teacher in charge of girls rugby, so I've got, especially with all the Blackfern stuff that's been going on, like it's been really cool developing those girls this year and like growing the sport. Like we started with, I think it was 22 girls at the start of last year. This year we had about 45.
Oh shit, yeah.
I think it's just an attractive teacher on the in charge of it, but
So what, you want an assistant coach?
Sorry.
Who's the attractive one?
That's just dog.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, go watch the YouTube.
We know it's me. Hey, bugger off. Why don't you just click
Sorry. Sorry.
This became a roast battle.
Back to your story. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, he is handsome.
But yes, so you got, not with my mo, but you've got, I go watch rugby, I watch girls rugby, well, I'm in charge of it, so I go watch every Wednesday. I tried to watch basketball, I only got into that at the end of the season. Cricket. I've been watching a lot of cricket now this summer. I want to go watch more volleyball. Like, it's the kids seeing, like, because if I'm honest, being an hour drive from Dunedin and a lot of the sport being in Dunedin, they don't see, their parents don't actually come that much. Whereas I was very fortunate when I was younger that my mum would be literally at every game, like rugby or cricket, and it was at every level I played at. So I think even them seeing you outside of school, like that is how you get close to them as well, because they see you in a different light. Like they do start to understand that you care a lot more about them, which I think is a really cool thing as well. Like, as tough and as tiring as this year is, like I do a 2 hour drive every day, like an hour each way commute. Like, you deal with kids all day who are exhausting. Like, I honestly think I'm in the best job. Like, I love it.
And that's what you're there for, right? Is to make an impact, be seen, and let the kids know that they're heard. And bro, it sounds like
Literally.
you're ticking all the boxes, man. But what's it like? Like, you must hear and have to deal with so much variety of stuff from the kids that it's a lot to carry. So how do you break away from that when you get home? Like, how do you switch off from, teacher Dave, from Mr. Matsas to just being Big Dave again?
I say the big thing, touching saying that first part about how like you hear a whole lot of stuff. That's where that boundary is quite, from that last question, is quite interesting. So in the sense that, like, because like you do get a bit more buddy with them, which is I do think is absolutely fine. Um, but then they think they can go tell you sort of stuff and spread stuff to you when it's really that's that boundary, where it's not appropriate. Like, you don't want to be hearing. I won't go into anything, but like, you can imagine what sort of stuff happens at school.
100%.
And I won't lie, it's getting worse. Younger now, like, I don't remember any of this stuff sort of happening 10 years ago when I was their age. I'm talking the younger years. So it is hard because you do hear a lot of stuff. Like, that's where I do definitely switch my relationship kind of area off, and where I've made it pretty clear with a lot of the kids I've got relationships with. Like, I when it comes to, I don't want to hear it, because I don't really like them bad mouthing each other either, and hearing stuff that goes on outside of school. Like, that's above me. As for how you switch off, it can be pretty difficult to come back home at the end of the day, especially if you've had like a rough day. And like, not every day is rough. Like, they're just long more than anything. Like, as I said, I think it's a very rewarding job. But you do have the days where like it's tough. It's very tiring. And you come home and all you can think about is school. Like, you might get, even like, I got an email on a Friday evening, and not a very pleasant email, and it pretty much stuck with me the entire weekend, because now all you're thinking about is that one email. So it is pretty hard to switch off your school. I know some people do it very well. I probably don't do it very well, especially, I mean, I play a lot of, even though I don't play a lot of top end sport anymore, I still play quite a lot. I used to play a lot of netball. I've not played in 2 months though, due to injury, unfortunately. But like, it's just, I think part of it is getting off screens. I can't actually explain how important it is to get away from this. It's coming from a bloody PE health teacher, to be fair, but like how important it is to get away from screens. So you just want to escape, like, because otherwise you're just going to get something that reminds you of school, and you don't want that either. Like, if I'm honest, when I go home, I don't want to be thinking about school. I don't mind right now, to be fair, but like, I don't want to be thinking about school when I'm at home. Like, it's the place. Like, there's a reason I live an hour away from school. Because I think if I was, especially like working in a small town, like, it'd be different. Like, I'm from Wellington initially. I went for a job there. I could have been living 20 minutes away, but we're talking like decent distance. Like, I don't have to pass it. Whereas if I was living down there, you pass the school no matter what, pretty much.
Oh, shit, yeah, nah. Fuck that.
So yeah, it is hard to switch off, but getting away from screens where that sort of stuff happen, getting involved, whether it be I went for a nice beach walk the other day. That was quite pleasant. Eating well is quite important. I've sorry, this is a real health thing, but like if you eat kind of cruddy, then you feel kind of cruddy, and then you do like tend to think about stuff that's happened during your day, etc. Like I think it all like interlinks quite a lot as well. But it, as I say, like, it's very difficult to keep a balance. I think especially as I think down the track it'll be easier, but as a first year teacher, you are under the pump a lot through the year, trying to. I mean, part of my goals were finding myself as a teacher this year, and then all this other stuff. Like you're still trying to create. As I say, you're trying to find what kind of teacher you are. You're trying to create all these resources. You're trying to find out what works for you, as well as taking on girls rugby. Like that was a big thing this year, which added a lot of hours to my approach, to my to teaching. Like it is difficult, but it's very important to keep the balance, which is why I've been honest. Like once I'm off that drive back here, I don't talk about school. Once I'm back in Dunedin, I like to keep my life very, very, very separate if I can.
But that's healthy, though, right? That's
Oh, you've
healthy.
got to.
Yeah, it's so important to have your own thing in your own life. You don't always have to live, breathe, and fucking die your job. That's unhealthy, I think, as well.
I think a big thing as well. I definitely found this year, as I say, as a first year teacher, you're quite under the pump, and I guess it's very different to when we were at uni and you had all this free time where you could go play, especially in COVID times, where you could go play Warzone any day you wanted, go play a bit of Fortnite. Like you had time to do that. Whereas now, I don't find I've got time to do that, which means I feel I've definitely neglected a lot of friendships that I do have. Like there's some people I've not seen in ages this year who I was seeing weekly last year because I had to have the time to. Even though I was doing a master's, I had the time to actually see them. Whereas now I'm finding with the full working day, like I leave the house at about 5 to 7 in the morning, which isn't, that's not horrible, but like I'm not getting back until minimum. If I left straight on the bell, which I can't, but if I left straight on the bell, I'm back by about 4:15, pushing it.
Shit.
So like, and that's minimum. Like, you usually hang around for a bit longer. Like, if you've got a meeting or something, like you're not back in town until 6:30, and then by that
Shit.
point, there's not a lot to do with your day as well. So I think that's a big thing as well. Like, you definitely do, and that's something I need to work on. And myself, I need to work on seeing people again. A future podcast guest, Ash Waston, we were talking the other day about how we need to catch up. So it's just making the time, and as you said before, not being obsessed with your job. Like your job's going to be when you leave on Friday, your job's still going to be there on Monday.
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully.
like, especially, God, I hope so. Pretty much, maybe not after this podcast, but like, I might not have a job to go to tomorrow. But yeah, it's definitely important to keep your relationships, which is definitely something I need to work on in myself as well.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because the previous episode that dropped on Friday talks about what it's like to build reliable relationships and how much harder it is when you move away or when you're no longer in those community spaces to just maintain those relationships. But knowing that if they're like real proper friendships and stuff like that, you can always fall back on them no matter how quote unquote neglected you may think they
Mm,
are. You know, real friends know that, shit gets busy, people get busy, lives change. It's just a matter of adapting. And when you catch up like we are, it's like shit, we were just chilling yesterday, you know?
yeah. What I'll say on that definitely is I've definitely felt that this year in the sense that, and you'll get it, like you've moved away from Dunedin now. I came down to Dunedin in 2017, and I had all my people from home, so people in Wellington, and then I met all my hall mates, and then met all my uni mates, so all my ones through the theatre degree, and then met all the people in my master's and master's of teaching degree. So there's kind of 4, and then through work as well. So that's 5 different kind of areas of like people I had down here. And I've decided to stay down here after all this time now. So in my 6th year down in Dunedin. And now all my Wellington mates, there's not really any down here. All my hall mates, they're pretty much gone. There's not many left down here. Same with feathers. Like, there's not heaps of feathers, to be honest, left from like our kind of year groups as well, like our 2 year groups. There's not many left. So it's definitely it's definitely hard to keep. But as we say, we're literally yarning now as if we haven't really had space at all. And those are the true friends you've got as well. Like the ones you can go away for a year and you come back and you're like, "What's up, brother?
100%.
How are Horn?"
100%. And like the relationship's not weird too when you catch up. Like it's not awkward. Like, "Oh, hey man, how are you?" Like, "Oh, it's good to hear from you." It's like straight up like, "Up to you, ugly cunt."
How's your auntie?
Exactly.
It's not awkward. We talk about what have we talked about? We talked about bloody sex ed. Like,
And I guess sex ed is a great segue into how was beef ed for you?
I rate that. Go on my beef ed. I mean, you definitely know, rough. I think mine was probably a lot rougher than others, in the sense that so I left home at 17 to come down to Dunedin, good old Otago uni.
Shit, but you one of the ones that started at 17, not 18.
Mate, I turned 18 halfway through the year. I couldn't go clubbing till June.
Fuck, that must have sucked for PO week.
Oh no, that made no difference, to be fair. I'd tell you a story from PEO week, but I can't remember it. I was no, that was horrible. I used to drink in the hall, and then everyone would go to town, and I'd meet them at McDonald's later on when they'd all finish clubbing.
That is so sad. That is so sad.
Like, pass out for a few hours, and I'd be like, "G'day, everyone." And yes, these are the people who are teaching your children. But the beef, yeah. So I came down at 17, which was already a bit more difficult. I think moving to I was quite ready through my home situation. I was quite ready to move out anyway. But I did maybe. So in my first year of uni, so I was down on a rugby scholarship. So I was playing quite like a top end. And then I got a concussion halfway through the year in my first year. And that concussion pretty much, I won't lie, like, I was a very good student at school later on. And I didn't do that great in my first semester. And I think I don't feel like it's a big jump from level 3 to uni year 1, if I'm completely honest. I don't think it's a huge. I'm probably thinking that now, to be fair, now that I've done a bloody full degree in masters. It was actually a huge jump. It sucked. But I only probably scraped through hubs. Definitely scraped through.
Who didn't though? Who didn't just scrape? I can't even say the fucking word. Scrape through hubs.
Oh, if you didn't scrape through, then you failed.
Or you're just one of those dickheads that failed health science, so you did PE.
Heck no, couldn't have done sales. Okay. Would have hated that. But yeah, I kind of didn't do that great, but I got through semester 1. I had passed. No, actually, failed my only paper of uni in my first semester. Psych 191, I think it is, or 111. 111. Psych 111. Oh,
why were you doing psychology?
You know how we had to pick an extra paper, just like
you chose psychology?
I thought it'd be cool to learn about the brain, and I was thinking about sports psychology later on and how they might interlink.
I swear they don't integrate at all.
They don't. So I chose psych anyway, and I got a 46%. That's my worst grade ever at university. That was actually shocking. I was very pissed off. That's the only paper I failed, though. I am getting to
Nice.
my B Fed, by the way. And then, so then I kind of like just got through semester one. Met a few extra people who may not have passed everything straight away. We won't name names.
We're in the same class, motherfucker.
And he was the year above me. So, hey, that is you.
And I was in that same class the next year. Fuck that little midget. If you do PE or you're doing specs right now, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Little short, going bald, one earring in the wrong ear, motherfucker.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. Anyway, so I got through my first half of the year, and then I can't remember what month, but I got quite a big concussion, and I'd had a history of concussion through high school. So if you're familiar with like the rugby laws, sorry, going into a different thing. If you're familiar with them now, if you get even a minor head knock, you have to take like 3 weeks off, or within reason. Like a doctor will fully analyze it to see if it was like a concussion or just a wee knock, and you can. Some people do play like the following week, which is fine. When I was at school, they didn't have all these laws, all these rules. So I used to get. I played a long time in first 15 grade. So I definitely started small, and I used to get a head knock probably every game. Whether it be minor or some were a bit more major. And all these minor ones, so major, of course, you ain't playing through a major head knock.
No.
That'd be dumb. But some of these minor head knocks, you kind of pick it up. You'd know, like, you've got a concussion. Like, you can tell. Like, you're a bit dazed, you're a bit off, but, like, you're still functioning. And then I'd go play the following week. I'd be like, nah, I'm fine. I'm going to play the following week. Like, that's actually fine. Which, looking back, that's why I can't play anymore. Like, that is what ruined my career, pretty much. And took away from anything that might have been nearer. As I say, I don't know if I would have made even higher up, but I was on a pathway up to that. So getting that head knock, it wasn't even through bloody rugby. I got it through bloody hall basketball. So at uni, you've got inter-hall sports. So there's lots of halls of residence, and there's like inter-hall sports. So I remember playing basketball from my hall. Can't remember who we played because I got a concussion. But I got a ball. I had a pretty rough weekend, so I was a bit out of it anyway. Remember my mate threw it around the back to me, smoked me in the head. So I got the initial KO, and my head's just a bit more susceptible to the old concussion. Got a knock, out cold, hit the back of my head apparently on the unipole floor.
Oh.
Double KO. I wouldn't be able to tell you anything that happened that weekend.
Shit.
So that kind of, if I'm honest, ruined the year for me. And I'll be honest, definitely screwed a few things on later life. So in terms of BFED, following semester, I got about 2 or 3 papers which are withdrawn with exception, because I literally couldn't do those papers anymore. Not yet, because I couldn't think. I developed a stutter for a little while. I had headaches I probably had concussion symptoms, like from that concussion, like that probably screwed me for about 2 and a bit years afterwards.
Fuck.
Which is why I can't stress how important it is to, like, you do, especially, and that's why I think it's so important, like, that they're managing head knocks as well as they are now. And of course, there's been like the unreal study that's been done at Otago Uni, alongside concussion, which has been so important, I think, as well, for especially young people to see the effects of it, and they can actually see through their you'll probably get someone in to talk about this to be fair, but the mouth guard research, which of course they can see how well, like how big the knocks are, etc. that they're getting. Like it records everything, which I think is so important for the young, especially being like a TIC now, teacher in charge. It's so important for the girls who have been part of the study to actually see that. So yeah,
Yeah, bro.
but the BFED, literally, I did one paper in second semester of my first year. I finished dance, so I don't know.
I don't think anyone can fail dance.
I got an A plus in dance, but there's like this dance gymnastics paper, so I finished that off, and then and then of course there was the uni degree changes, which screwed everything again. But because of my head knock, it was either stick with the BFED and go from the 4 year degree to a 5 year degree because I was just behind in papers, or it was moved to the new degree, which I didn't really want to do, but it was moved to the new degree, which was a 3 year degree, and do it in 4 years. And I moved to the new degree because there was no point me battling away for a 5th year when I could get probably, to be honest, the exact same qualification. And I reckon in those first 2 years of the BFED, well, I got both those years, and I reckon I got all the things that make the BFED out of those 2 years. Like you get all those, the camp, the dance, etc. I got all of that from those. So I think I got the best of it, and then it finished the exact same time that I was meant to. But that concussion definitely turned my world upside down a wee bit.
Yeah, bro. Like, concussions, fucked. And it's so good now that there's so much more research going on in concussions. I've got Nicole Spriggs coming on the podcast in January.
I figured you might be getting it.
Yeah, so she's the one who did the mouth guard study, and she's continuing doing research in that space at Lincoln University.
Yeah.
I should remember that. But no, it really is so important, and I'm glad that there's so much more awareness and consciousness going into acknowledging how important assessing concussions are these days, because you could attest to it, right?
I mean, you look at it from the world rugby point of view, or just world sport point of view. There's such a higher focus on concussions now. Whereas, and like because it's at that world level, everyone started to like notice it now, which has meant it's translated down into grassroots, etc., and more community kind of stuff. Honestly, I think it's what like Nicole and all of them have been doing in terms of like their concussion study. I think it's been so important. Like that concussion, as I said, literally turned my life around. I was this promising young rugby hooker from Wellington. I was down on scholarship. I'd played reps from under 11s onwards. Highest I'd made was Otago under 19. And to have that ripped away from me, literally like that, is probably the hardest thing I think I've personally gone through. I've had plenty of hard times in my life, but that battled me physically and mentally. Like, I put on a lot of weight after that final head knock as well, because you're trying to recover from a head knock, and all of a sudden you can't play the one game that you imagine that the one game that you grew up playing, you love it, you watch it, you breathe it, all of a sudden ripped away from you, and now you feel like you literally have nothing. Like, I came to uni to play rugby, if I'm completely honest. Yeah, I came for a degree. Like, that was kind of important. Like, I was paying a lot of... I was paying I needed that degree. But I came for, like, a high level of rugby, which I knew I could get. And that got ripped away from me very quickly. So, I think it's very important what all of them are doing now. Like, concussion is such a fucked thing, to be honest with you. fucks you physically, definitely fucks you mentally. I saw a bloody counsellor for ages after that because you're just in your own head all the time as well. Yeah, it's fucked.
Well, do you want to elaborate a bit more on those feelings, like having essentially a part of your identity taken away from you? Like, how does one overcome that, and how do you turn it around the way you have and sort of turn it into a positive where you can spread awareness about concussions and about how important it is to recover when something like that's stolen away from you?
Yeah. I definitely had to redefine my life, like in the sense that a big focus of mine throughout my whole life, like I was training for rugby. Like rugby was the most important thing to me. I was making teams, very important. Suddenly ripped away, and getting through that sucked. Um, as you said, literally a part of my identity was gone. If I was to like write my Tinder profile, right, for example, like it'd be David lived in Wellington, now in Dunedin, from Hamilton potentially for a bit of a location. Sorry, this is the minute I'm going to explain it. Interests, lasagna, and then like rugby. Not that those are my only two interests. But
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Swipe left or right.
lasagna and rugby are pretty important to me. But like I definitely felt I experienced a bit of loss at that time. Like I'd lost both grandparents, and if I'm completely honest, I think it's three grandparents. Sorry, at that point, and I actually think it's very similar losing a part of you to that. So of course there was the physical side. So all of a sudden I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do anymore because my head would genuinely restrict me. Sport wise, there was always that fear from the doctors that if I picked up another knock from just getting hit in the head, like as we say, I got the final knock from a basketball. So any potential knock could screw me, essentially. So I pretty much got told by the specialist if I want to finish my degree, live a non-cooked life, essentially, I had to quit rugby at that point. It's going to go way more. That's probably the most PC way of putting it. I had to quit rugby at that point. So all of a sudden, so the physical side, and then there was the mental side. So I picked up depression, pretty badly. Never got too bad in the sense of the darker scheme of things. People definitely get their way, but that was when I really learned what mental illness was. And I felt very lost. I didn't really know how I was going to define my life anymore. In the sense that, as I say, lasagna and rugby are my big things. But rugby was such an important part of my life that all of a sudden that's just ripped away and I don't know what I've got anymore. I actually found it really tough to it didn't take me as long, but it took me a little while to get back into watching. So Chiefs, who are literally like you've seen my Mulu Bell already. I've got mana, but I didn't watch a game for for a season. To be fair, after that, I kind of I couldn't do it. I got back into it the following year once I'd kind of dealt with a lot of that stuff. I didn't watch a school level or club level game for about 3 years after that. So I wouldn't say until probably my 4th or 5th year at uni, I didn't watch a club level game at all because I couldn't. Because that was because that was my age grade, where I was like, I actually could have been out there. That could be me essentially. And dealing with that, I think I never used to be someone who wanted to go to a bloody counsellor because I was always like, I don't need to talk to some random person about my problems. I'm fine. It helped a lot talking it out to someone random because I think a lot of time you don't want to put it onto people closest to you. Because one, it is hard, but you don't want to feel like you're pushing them away by dealing with all this. And I think there was also one thing that came out of it. I was very stressed that pretty much like this lead up effect of getting a concussion, so then losing rugby was then going to lead to my depression, which was going to result in me losing friends, becoming even more alone, leading to even more darker, like a darker pathway, which I never got to, thank God.
Thank God, definitely.
Thank God. You wouldn't be getting this epic content otherwise. As you can see, I keep bringing everything back into a joke, but that's just my personality. But in terms of how I dealt with it, I probably didn't play a sport again until, so what? I picked up netball. Very interesting sport to pick up. Not the traditional kind, but the who you'll hear from eventually, Ash Watson, the six-a-side kind, which is the non-traditional, which I prefer personally. And I picked that up probably more fifth year. Probably started. I feel like I didn't start before that. Maybe started last year. So started 2021, I think. Might have been post lockdown ish kind of things. I kind of picked that up. One, because I kind of was just getting involved a wee bit and I needed something to play. Because at this, so like, but even getting into a sport was hard enough. I had to get medical permission to actually play anything again. I'd like to think I've gotten quite good at the old netty, but because I was out of sport for about 4 and a bit years, my body's not the same as it used to be. Like, as I say, I put on quite a bit of weight. I've definitely lost a lot of it now. But my joints don't work the same. I didn't have that same conditioning. Like, I've got the body of an old man, unfortunately, now, because I had such a long gap from sport, and I'm talking like I was very sedentary as well. So I really didn't do a whole lot. And it's taken like a long time for me even to get back to like kind of body wise that I'm at now, where like I'm always going to have a dad bod. I'm quite content with that. But even just having a bit of muscle and being able to like leap around like I can now, it took me a long time to get back to there, and a lot of like physio. And just as I say, I'm out with injury at the moment, so it's pretty. I'm not going to be able to get to a high level again, I would say, of any sport. I think when you take that much time off and the beating that I kind of took with rugby through the years, it kind of all caught up on me. And then all of a sudden doing nothing for like 4 years, it really does affect you. As frustrating as it is, because I love sport. Literally is my life. So in terms of like, I definitely fought demons for a very long time. I definitely pushed away a lot of people that were just trying to help, but I didn't really want the help. So it was definitely a difficult 3, 4, 5 years post concussion. And I guess the most important thing was accepting help. All of it, accepting help, like people do want to help. Surrounding myself with people who do care. And as I say, it's kind of, this year's definitely been an interesting one when everyone's kind of so split up now, but still surrounding yourself with people who do care and getting that time with them. Really focusing on, I think, oh god, that's about to get deep, but it's self-love. So like, as I say to the students in sex ed, if you can't love yourself, how can anybody love you? So I honestly, post like concussion though, like I began to hate who I was, because I couldn't do anything I wanted to. Like it was shit. So definitely finding that love for myself again was a huge thing. And if I'm honest, I can't even really explain how that happened because it's been a journey and a half to get to where we are today, where I can joke around about a lot of this stuff. Probably even last year, if you'd asked me, I probably wouldn't have been able to joke about it still. Still a bit too fresh. And it can be fresh. Like, so I do get sad sometimes that I can't play rugby. I watch Artie Savia sometimes and I'm like, fuck, I'm better than you. But like, but it's definitely a journey. And then, as I say, ask for help. And you really do have to love yourself. You gotta like who you are. If you don't, then it's a pretty sad life. And it is though. If you don't love, yeah, yeah.
No, I can attest to that. You really need to know who you are and understand who you are, and like you say, love yourself before you can get anyone else to love you. Because how are you supposed to expect anyone else to know what you want out of anything if you don't even know what you want? But the way you summarized that pretty much answered what my next question was going to be, which was what would be your advice to someone going through that? But you just said it, man. If you love yourself, then
I'm an overachiever.
But one thing I do want to do is to try and bring it back to some of that comedy that you're always talking about. Is so the reason you think you can run it straight at Big Bent,
we have to explain this.
Is because you're at your peak. I feel like if you try to run it at him now, you're that's that one concussion. That's it.
Do we need to explain the backstory behind it? Are we good?
Yep, that's you. This is your story to tell. You're the one who called him out.
Well, pretty much. Before they're not, you should be thankful. I feel like you shouldn't be so thankful. Oh dear, turn the monitor back on. The 99Dreams podcast. Before that came along, there was, I can't even remember the Rad podcast that was going to start. We'll be one of the boys eventually as well, and we were going to start the sports podcast, and we recorded a few. But if I'm honest, like it was so difficult to find time, and I'll be honest, no one misses the chat, so I just figured it was done.
We really had conflicting schedules. I'm blaming Ash. Ash, this is your fault because you're always too fucking busy. You're somewhere else. I don't give a fuck. This podcast is bigger than you.
Bloody business.
Be back on it.
Not out. Anyway, so
fuck.
I pretty much eventually we were going to have one, and like I was hyped. Like it was good. And there was one episode where I wanted to have this segment where we were like, what was it? What was I trying to call it? Like I don't
know. You just called him out.
Like I could do that, or so. Oh, I can't remember what it was called. And it was pretty much the thing where like you bet you could do something. And I said that I could run it straight and bump over Ben Tamiafuna. If you don't know who Ben Tamiafuna is, I can't believe this is coming up. I thought I got past this and it was never going to be published again. If you know who Ben Tamiafuna is, he's this big...
I'll put a picture in the YouTube.
This gigantic Tongan beast who weighs an exceptional amount of weight. And he would probably eat me alive. However, as we know, the mana of the chief.
I need to clip that. I need to turn that down.
The mana. I believe that I could take Ben Tamiafuna and run it straight. I took a kid out and run it straight the other day. Just a fun fact.
Yeah, but that's a child who doesn't weigh as much as Big Benton does, nor is he a professional rugby player.
I won't say I was under the influence of alcohol, but I was pretty sure I was sober for this recording. So it's just me talking absolute.
You 100% were.
It's just me talking smack, really. I think I can do things that I definitely cannot. But I think it's important to set high goals. Set your dreams high, kids. That's what I always say.
Set your dreams
Exactly.
high.
I have 99 dreams, and one of them is to put straight a BW of him.
If this podcast gets big enough that I can get his attention, I can set it up if you want.
I'd rather just get a hug. To be honest with you, I feel like you'd give a lovely cuddle.
I don't know if you'd survive the hug. You talk so much smack. I think I still have the recording. I might be able to release it.
Don't. I'm just saying,
I might clip the audio in.
I also called Serena Williams shit, which I would like to put out there. I don't think she's shit.
I think I also have.
was just trying to start drama.
Oh, you're back.
Cut out.
Briefly, but we're back. We're operating. Serena, and that's how it went.
I said Serena Williams was shit, but with no context, I just said she was overrated. Which, looking at her stats now and watching King Richard, new movie, great movie, I think personally. I don't think she's shit. I think she's really good, and probably one of the best teams, probably the best women's teams player of all time. I was just going for the drama. Unfortunately,
he went for super controversial, and he called out the wrong goat.
Unfortunately, I was wrong. I'll admit that. I was just going for a bit of beef, and unfortunately, even all my shit talk, I could not back it up. Unfortunately.
Like, I think, male or female aside, I still think Serena Williams is the greatest of all time.
I'd like to argue that Stefanos Tsitsipas, my Greek brethren, if you're on the YouTube, you can see my Greek flag in the background.
We're really pushing the YouTube on this
episode, I want people to see how beautiful I am and how beautiful you are, in case they haven't seen that yet. But Tsitsipas, beautiful Greek man, great, just seems to keep losing, and I'm really pissed off. Future goat. No, in all fairness,
that's like my favorite, Kyrgios. He's great. Trash. Terrible.
But yeah, Serena is really goated, isn't she? You can't get past it. I won't say anything bad about it. Who knows?
You shouldn't. You really shouldn't. Like, she played pregnant.
Did she?
I'm pretty sure she won half pregnant. Like, not bloody 9 months, but I think she was like 3 to 4 months pregnant.
God.
My facts might be wrong, but I do remember reading an article somewhere that she was pregnant.
I can't play with the tennis. Knock. Ridiculous, if you ask me.
That's why she's the GOAT. And we're on a podcast talking shit. I
just float.
Yeah, me too, bro. But there is one thing that I do, also that I didn't tell you, that is highly scripted on this show, is one day that back wall there is going to be, or even like when I get my own studio, I'll have like the back wall, which is a massive board where everyone's dreams get put up. So everyone that's been on the show so far has put their dream into a dream box. It was going to be a dream jar. I say this every time. It was going to be a dream jar, but like I brought some shoes instead. So now I've got a Trae Young shoe box that says, always remember when they doubted you. So I thought that's very fitting. So in this box, I need to pull it up somehow. Great. In this box is everyone's dreams. I've only had a few guests on.
Yeah.
Some people have wrote. Yeah, well, we'll get over 99. We want to exceed 99 dreams, and we want to achieve 99 dreams. We want to turn those dreams into reality. And so I say, dreams never die, especially if you put them in this box. They might just stay stagnant for a while, but you can always revisit them if we've written them in this box. So it's not a dream graveyard. It's kind of like a dream storage space. It's a USB for dreams. So, do you have a dream or any dreams that you would like to
I have a
achieve?
dream?
Yeah, surely you've got a dream.
I mean, I have a dream that I'll marry Dua Lipa one day, but like,
Well, I'll put that one in, and then you can put another
a
one
more
down.
serious one soon. Uh,
Yeah,
one that's more likely going to be a reality.
yeah. Like I want to make these things happen. Yeah, like I can't guarantee you can marry Dua Lipa.
That is fair. So you're gonna make my dreams come true.
Well, I'll try. That's the whole purpose of this co-popper is not only do my dreams get to come to life, but hopefully someone else's can through this podcast, through uh, the vlogs, through the clothing that will come out
Oh,
soon.
clothing. Oh.
Yeah, man, 99 Dreams clothing.
Can this dream be?
So what do you
Can
want?
this dream be materialistic, or careering, or anything?
Anything, bro. Like my first one was real superficial. I wrote I want to own a McLaren. And then like I wrote I want to write a book, and then I wrote I want to hopefully one day inspire someone to do or achieve their own dreams and things like that.
Okay, one dream. I got two. I'll go two. One dream.
Two. Well, you've got three total.
Yeah, well, one is super realistic, which I've already said. And then two, I would love to be able to go to a Rugby World Cup final. And to be honest, have or some involvement with a professional rugby team at some point. As I say, I'm not going to teach forever. I haven't actually said that, but I'm not going to teach forever. And I want to get back into like the sport side of things at some point. Oh god, I actually might have two more dreams. Is that fine?
Bro, you keep them coming. So this next one you've got is you would love to have some involvement with a professional sports team.
Yes. I would love that.
What else you got?
Another one. So in terms of school, I would love to become a Senko. So that is a special education needs coordinator. So I've just with my sister with having autism, I'd love to work with students who are on a similar caliber. Which is easy.
That's a vicious dream, brother.
I know.
I'll rate that one.
Yeah, that's definitely that. That's
And you have one more?
yes, it's very much related to teaching again, though. Man, I've got plenty of dreams. I could list you 99 dreams if you want.
Hey man, just keep them coming. The thing is with this is that one day when they do, get achieved, we snapshot a photo and we put it on the board, and you're like, I got my dream. Like at the World Cup, you hold up your World Cup ticket and you're like, I'm here.
I did it.
Stuff like that. So keep them coming if you want. Let's fill up the jar.
Does this
the
go
box.
in the podcast? This part?
All of this is going in the
I
podcast.
wasn't sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Now this is the only thing that's kind of repetitive throughout all the podcasts.
And then lastly,
next one. This will be your final. Yeah.
Yes, my final one. And lastly, I just want to. I had a pretty tough life through school, and my teachers did a lot for me. So I would just want to be able to provide always the best support I can. I guess it is a dream in a way. Like I always want to be able to provide the best support I can for our tamariki, essentially, and be that like figure that they can look up to. like I'd hope that I've been doing this year.
That's a beautiful one. That one and the Senko one. Is it Senko?
Senko, yeah. So that's like my future. Like having a sister with autism, like I've always wanted to work alongside those students a bit more.
No, that's awesome,
Because
bro. That's
because I think they
powerful.
can. Well, I think they can offer the most in terms of like, especially in terms of PE. Someone with I don't know who's deaf, blind. We'll go blind, like, and you'd be like, oh, they can't do PE, they're blind. You see the best things happen though with those students, and like seeing like how someone can change who might have like anger issues, etc. Seeing how they change uh, when they hold a ball, etc. Like, sport's such a powerful thing. I have found, and just being able to bring that out of them as well.
No, that's beautiful,
That,
bro. That's real
that was
admirable.
that was deep. My goodness.
Yeah, bro, we love to hear it. That's what this whole podcast is
Cool.
about. Is you get to share your experiences, you get to share your passions, and hopefully along the way, someone listening in gets to learn from your life and they get to take that on board. Because one thing that is the primary reason I started this podcast, I don't even think I've said this out loud, is because I have only lived one life and I can only live one life, so I can only experience what I've experienced. But the best way to experience multiple lives is to talk and learn from other people and what they've lived. And it doesn't matter if they're younger than you, if they're older than you, if they're the same age as you, if they don't have the same background as you, or if they've got, different features about them. It's all good because that's their life experience. And if there's something similar in your path that you can come across that they've already overcome in their life, then you can take those lessons and sort of put it into your own kete or your bag and use those experiences to help you get through and overcome those scenarios.
Mm.
So that's why hugely appreciative of you coming on the show. And I've got another couple of questions for you, brother. So if
Mm-hmm.
you could go back in time and ask, let's go with 15-year-old David in Wellington. What would you
Oh,
tell 15-year-old David if you could go back today?
15. Hold on. Let me locate the
Mm-hmm.
year group. 17. I turned 17 in year 13. 16 in year 12, which means I turned 16. Far out. I was young. Okay, so I was year 11 going. I was year 11 going into year 12.
Shit.
Sheesh. What do I tell myself? Goodness me. Knowing what I do now,
Yeah.
um, I'd probably say one major thing would be one, don't or have a backup plan.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Literally though, like don't put like try everything you can, and I actually think this is quite an easy question in the sense that I can look now at the 15-year-olds coming through and like what I would
True.
tell them, and like a lot of them stop doing things, yeah, like after like year 10, and like they're like, oh, I need to work, etc., and like you don't, in a way, like I worked to be fair, but you've got so much time to do everything you want to do. Like you don't need to rush through life. I think that's a major one. Like you actually have so much time. Whereas 365 fucking days in a year. I'm only 23. I feel like I've been on this earth for a bloody long time. Like
Shit, yeah.
all this stuff about um also don't feel pressured to do anything that you feel like you don't want to do. I think I see it as a teacher now, especially. If you don't feel comfortable doing something, don't do it. Um, don't do anything like that to please other people. Always be honest to you. Oh, that's good. That is some good quality there.
That is great. I wish I clipped that, like in the market, just so I could make easier reels. But that is going to be a reel.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I rate that.
That is amazing.
I'm going to teach.
That
I'm going into inspirational speaking.
bro, 100%. You can sign up to 99 Dreams, and we'll get you out there, bro.
Is it like a make a
We'll
wish
get you
thing?
out there, man.
I make.
Nah, well, this whole 99 Dreams is going to become a marketing thing eventually. We're turning it into a marketing company.
What, like crypto?
No. Just
I'll put a share
if
in it.
you have like if you have a business that you want to get marketed, then let me know and we'll build your marketing.
I'm not smart enough to think of a business idea, but I'll just join. As I say, I'm going to be the co. So.
When
oh
I
man.
when I start getting sponsorships and things like that, that's us.
Oh yeah.
Ash can
If
be our producer. He can be in the background.
we're back. If Chiefs want to sponsor us or the NBA, maybe uh, Super Rugby, NBA, FIFA,
I'm always looking for sponsorships.
we'll take any of you.
I have
The
another
fun-
question for you.
yes, please.
I have another question for you. If you look back on this video in 5 or 10 years' time, what would you want to say to yourself? What would like today? What do you want to tell David, who's going to be 28 or he's going to be 33?
Jesus, I might have a kid by then. Um. Oh God. One thing. Sorry, check my battery percentage. One thing would have to be, as you can tell, like a lot of the stuff that I've spoken about today, like a lot of it is quite like deep. Like I've had some like hard times. But I back it up by joking around. One, because I'm not ready. I'm still, as you know, I'm still not ready to like fully go serious and talk about that sort of stuff. Um, so I think like a big thing for me in the future is, of course, not needing to make everything funny. And I had a talk actually to a teacher the other day about this, how like I can be quite like class clownish, um, and there's actually no need. Like sometimes people need to see the serious side of you to respect you. So I think in terms of like in 10 years' time, if I was looking back and watching this, like I'd probably say in the sense that like, and I think I'm aware of this now. It's just not something I'm ready to like. It's something that I'm working towards. Is that there's been hard times. I need to respect that and not always find the funny side in it, because sometimes there actually isn't a funny side, and some of the stuff that I think that I have like had to go through, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. So
That makes sense.
I think, are you trying to say that what you want to do is finally address some of those issues that you kind of make light-hearted jokes to push it aside and make it not seem
Yeah,
so
I don't think I mean,
heavy?
and yeah, like because I as soon as it gets heavy, I joke because I'm like, nah, I'm not ready for that. And that can be fine, but I think a big part of like me moving forward as and developing who I am is the fact that I need to get past that and actually be a bit more serious at points. Of course, I'm never going to get rid of my bloody smart aleck comedian self who go to a stand-up comedian show whenever I'm going to always going to be able to do that. Well, I'm never going to get rid of that side of me, but being able to develop a bit more. And I think also just looking back at some of the things I have been through and being able to appreciate that that's what's made me who I am today. Like I feel like I had to mature a lot earlier than a lot of other people potentially who might have had things just gifted to them. Um, but I think I experienced a lot of loss early. So being able to know that like I actually got where I am today through my own hard mahi more than anything. And I'm sure in bloody 10 years, like, I've probably done some bit more mahi by that point. Might have a wife. Might have a baby. Yeah, fingers crossed on that one.
Oh, yeah, shit. I should have said fingers crossed. Man, everyone on the audio is going to be like, why'd they just pause for a second? You got to watch the YouTube on this episode.
YouTube's the most important thing here. But, yeah, like, and I'm going to be old in 10 years' time. Like, I'll be at the top pay bracket of the old teacher scale. In 7 years.
Does it only take 10 years to climb?
7.
What the fuck?
7 years teaching, you're at the top until you take on more. So, like, if you take on, like, an extra, like, if you became, like, a dean, you get, like, a unit, which is,
coaching,
like, money. Unfortunately, it depends at some schools being in charge of, like, a sport, you get a unit, especially if it's, like, a bigger sport. So, like, we don't have one for girls' rugby, which is fine. Like, I don't need one. But I do. Those girls, oh, God, they're difficult. But they're funny.
Poor kids.
I feel bad for them, eh? Imagine me.
I feel bad for them now.
Imagine me as your teacher. The poor souls.
Poor motherfucking kids.
Go
to a new school.
I mean, imagine them coming to uni and like they'll be like, Rowdy, do you know Mr. Matsas? He taught me, and you'll be like, oh, that fucker. That is concerning.
I'm like, that explains a lot.
That strike is so cooked.
I love how you think that I'm still going to be there.
Oh, you will. You're never leaving the uni, mate. You'll find some research to go to.
Bro, I still want to finish this master's thesis.
To be fair, like, I don't think I'm done at uni yet.
Go back. One day.
Not yet. Like, I definitely want to get money in the bank first.
Money and growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw that. It's okay, audio people. You don't need to watch this. You don't need to watch the YouTube. Keep listening on Spotify and Apple. Yes, I appreciate you.
But if you want the visual effect, go to YouTube because that's funny. I don't even know what I was talking about anymore.
It's like it's been like that this whole thing.
I lost my train of thought.
It's the concussions, ladies and gentlemen. He's thinking a mile a minute, but he forgets every minute.
I don't know what we were talking about. Oh,
concussions.
Why is a Mulu bell at my desk? Put that
Ladies and gentlemen, he has Alzheimer's at 23. I shouldn't joke about that. Alzheimer's is a joke. I'm sorry for it. I might just cut that out.
Clip that one.
That was too dark. Eh? I'm getting cancelled on my own show.
I told you the outcome of today would be being cancelled. Isn't that the goal?
No, never. Well, kind of. We like to push the envelope here at the 99 Dreams because one day we dream to overcome cancellation. I mean, to be fair, you can only be cancelled if the people who fuck with you turn their back on you. Like, seriously. If the people who fuck with you turn their back on you, then you're cancelled. People who you don't even fucking know, they can't cancel you. Like, who the fuck are they?
I could cancel you.
How?
I'm not entirely sure yet. But
you just unsubscribe.
Not even subscribed.
Bro, you better subscribe after this episode. Every reel I post, you better share that shit. Every short, every fucking... The links, when it comes out, you better share the shit out of it, motherfucker.
I'll share it to a close friends of 2.
Fuck off with the closed friends. Don't put it on, like, your story with close friends. I'll whoop your ass.
No, you wouldn't dare. You won't be anywhere near me. I'll be in Balclutha. You wouldn't dare come down there. We've got 20 toes down. Wait, everyone's got 20 toes. Shit! Wait, no, they don't. We've got 10. Shit! Oh, I've lost.
No, it's 20 toes and fingers included, but then thumbs don't really count as fingers. Thumbs are
Would you
different.
Would you count the big toes as toes? I mean, yeah, they're a toe, aren't they?
Yeah, it's still a toe, but the thumb, because it can like move, whereas these just go like that and like that. Thumb can. yeah, we should probably wrap it up there, and then
I think it might be appropriate too.
we'll wrap this episode up here. I feel like it's getting a little bit out of control, so we're gonna say some shit that will get us cancelled. So, ladies and gentlemen,
I will be back as a co-host in the next episode, though.
He actually will be back, though. Eventually, when he's got free time, we'll get him back on the show.
I'm more
free back on the show. We'll get him back next week. I think next week's episodes are full.
I think I've got plenty of stuff to talk about for the rest of the year if you want.
Yeah, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I knew this was going to be a fun episode. I knew it was going to be unexpected. I had no idea what the fuck to expect, but it's been fun. So, Dave, before we go, is there anything you want to tell anyone? How do we find you if we want to connect? And how do we avoid the school that you're at? So,
well, one, you'll see me on the Christmas special. And
that is true. I think the New Year's special.
Yeah, that'd be very appropriate, actually. We'll get a turkey. But as for effect, yeah, no, you can't find me anywhere. And just don't come to Balclutha and you won't find my school. If I leave, just make sure you ask who the PE teachers are at the school before you apply, before you send your child there. But I promise I'll get the best education possible.
He will. I mean, you've already heard some of the earlier stuff before he got out of hand towards the end of this podcast. He's a great teacher and a great person.
Stop it.
And I'm sure if your kids are watching, he'll be an inspiration to them. So send them to that school.
Or don't. I don't mind the extra kids.
But Dave, brother, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure. I've enjoyed this corridor. It's been so much fun. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're still listening, thanks for listening this far into the podcast. I really do appreciate you. I've been Aori. This is the 99Dreams podcast. Until next time, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the first time I ever fucking said that, but my friend said you have to start saying that. So, yep, I just said it. Take care. Modi order. Stay safe, whānau.
Time to cook some fish.